much backlash did you get after chucking a baby in your Bigger Plans music video?
I thought I would hear more about that. If you are creative, create, yes, but execute. If you want to do this thing as a career or as a side hustle, you need to get it done.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Blazin A Trail podcast. I am your host, Tut Kai Leach, a.k.a. K1. This podcast is all about giving the listeners a certain mindset and a perspective that will allow the listeners to have the right tools in their toolkit so they can start blazing their own path. Today, we are joined by one of my new favorite artists that I just recently discovered. Our guest has over 5 million Spotify plays. I don't know what Apple Music has because I'm not subscribed to that. He is an independent singer and songwriter. Are you moving to Nashville?
That's the plan.
He's a UNL alum, you can see, intramural champion.
A couple times. I got a lot of these t-shirts.
Hey.
No big deal.
Hey, competitive on that aspect. Marketer and content creator, Trailblazers, please help me in welcoming Noah Floersch to the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for coming, brother.
Yeah,
and shout
absolutely.
Shout out to Nick for giving us the plug.
Yeah, Nick is incredible.
Nick be
Oh
working.
my gosh, an absolute mogul.
Yes.
In the audio, local audio sphere.
How much backlash did you get after chucking a baby in your Bigger Plans music video?
I thought I would hear more about that because I remember when we were putting that music video together, we knew we kind of wanted it to be. It was all going to be one take, right? The music video, and so we wanted to have a lot of like really, really funny, like interesting things happen, all to keep the viewer engaged. If it's all going to be one shot, you have to do a bunch of kind of crazy, zany things. And yeah, there's one scene where a gal comes up and gives me a doll, and I like kiss it on the head and I throw it over my head, and like she catches it. She catches the child, in the background, and like looks back begrudgingly. But I remember like doing that and being like, like I'm not gonna like show this to my mom. Like, not that it's like a wild, like such a crazy thing, but she'd be like, hey, don't be throwing babies. Like, what kind of message is that sending to the kids, or something? But I don't know. I thought it was just kind of goofy.
Your music videos are very descriptive, and it's not just like one scene or two scenes. It's very like if you turned off the music and watched it, you could kind of vision what the song would be like. That's what I really like about your music. Okay, so the 5 million plays on Spotify. How would you describe the feeling after learning that you got it on a Spotify editorial playlist, not a user playlist?
Yeah,
because that's huge in the music community.
It is super huge. That happened in August of 2020 when I landed. I landed on 2 Spotify editorial playlists for 2 weeks. And it was just, I didn't get like a ridiculous amount of plays from those playlists.
Yeah.
But I was added to this user-generated playlist that had a bunch of followers, and that's, I think, where I got picked from.
Yeah.
It was a TikTok content creators playlist. This guy has this channel called Live to Create, and they like show up and coming artists basically, and he added my song On Your Mind to that playlist.
Fire.
and then I think Spotify the editorial gods like picked that song from that playlist and put it on Fresh Finds and Fresh Finds Pop for 2 weeks. And
because I saw it on Fresh Finds Pop.
And what's wild is when that happened, it shows up on like the artist profile page.
Yeah, all the way at the bottom.
So I didn't get a notification or anything, but I was just like scrolling on my page one day, and I noticed I have a featured on section now, and it says Spotify Fresh Finds, and I freaked out, and I called Ross, my producer, right away.
Shout out Ross Green,
yeah,
man.
he's incredible. And I called him right away, and I was like, Ross, look at my profile. Like, this is ridiculous. But it was a really, really cool feeling. 'Cause it's just, there's like it's nice to have that validation from the Spotify gods,
Affirmation.
It's like you're doing something right.
Exactly. And I think that's what a lot of humans strive for, that feeling. Okay, so Noah, this podcast is about getting people off of the fence and getting them to take a leap of faith. And a lot of our generation is stuck in analysis paralysis, such as myself in the past month. But we always know that we're a work in progress. So since we're a work in progress, we got to know where you started from to get to where you are now. So like kind of give the listeners a little background about yourself, your childhood experience.
Sure. Before I do, I really like analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
That's really great.
Somebody told, it was shout out to Jack Rodenberg. He's the one that put me on.
Love Jack Rodenberg.
Jack.
Oh my gosh. He's incredible. But yeah, so I got my start with music kind of by accident. I don't come from a particularly musical family. My 3 older brothers all did piano lessons and stuff like that, and hated it. So when my time came around to have those lessons, I kind of like said no, I'd rather not. And so I'm the only brother who like never did any music lessons in my youth, and now I'm the only one who does music as like a career. It's just funny how that works out. But my oldest brother, when he went off to college, he got a banjo as like a parting gift, kind of like hey, like learn this while you're not studying or whatever.
Banjo.
A banjo, yeah. Mumford and Sons was like all the rage at the time. It was like 2011,
Mumford and Sons,
right?
Bro.
And so the following Christmas, I was like, well, I want a banjo. That's sweet. And so I got one and realized very, very quickly I could not play any of the Mumford and Sons stuff because they're shredding on those things, and it was frustrating. It was right away. I was like, man, I can't do this. I hate it, And so I learned a few chords, and since I couldn't play any actual songs, I just started writing my own.
Ooh.
And so that's kind of how, that was like a really, really lucky catalyst.
Okay.
That was not really on purpose, but it just sort of happened. And then once I got into high school, I started teaching myself piano and ukulele and guitar, which I'm really a terrible instrumentalist.
Okay.
But I get around all those instruments enough to write.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So sorry to cut you off,
you're
but
good.
before you go into your high school experience, what were you certain that you were going to do in middle school? And how did that change in high school, since you said you weren't really involved in music like that?
Yeah.
What were you certain that you were going to do?
I wasn't super certain about anything, but man, I was really, really good at a lot of things in middle school. Like, I definitely peaked in 8th grade. Yeah. Like, I was super fast. I was like one of like the fastest guys in my grade.
Yeah.
I was like good at soccer. I was smart at the time. I've definitely like compared to everyone else, like the rest of the population has just been like closing the gap since, But there was a time when I was like an excelling student, But I think at that time I either wanted to be like a professional soccer player or if that didn't work out, my fallback would be like a doctor or something, or an engineer is something like my dad would always say, but I never knew what an engineer did, because who knows what an engineer does when you're
young.
grade. Yeah. So
because we call those the safe routes,
right?
In a sense, Okay. So when you were in high school, no. First off, before we continue, for the professional soccer players and like the fans out there, who was your favorite soccer club?
Okay. So I will say this: I didn't watch a whole lot of soccer growing up. I just played it all the time. And didn't have a whole lot of exposure to it because like we didn't have cable for the longest time.
Yeah.
But we would get cable for like the World Cup, so it was really, really fun to watch.
Fire.
The international competition. But recently, since Christian Pulisic has been on Chelsea, I've been watching Chelsea a lot. And so like I guess technically I'm like a Chelsea fan, but it's really just for the American.
Yeah.
And so he's cool to watch. I like watching the US play, men and women. Women made it to the finals today in the Olympics.
I didn't see that. Bro.
Yeah. Went to PKs, which is really, really cool.
Nerve-wracking.
So I do watch a little bit, and I'm really excited for when I move to Nashville.
Bro.
Nashville like has an MLS team,
Hell
so I
yeah,
can like
bro.
go to those games, and it'll be
got-
cool.
They got the Titans. They got the Predators. They got.
I don't know if I'm gonna like commit to being a Titans fan. I don't know if that's gonna give me flack when I get out there, but it's just like I don't like their logo. I don't know that because that's how I like decide which teams I like.
I used to live in Nashville. The first ever NFL game I went to was the Titans. But bro, you're gonna love Nashville because it's almost like Lincoln on how diverse it is, but you get to see everybody's like different lifestyles and everybody like coexists. Like you'll see dudes obviously in cowboy hats, boots. You'll see people dressed as like the alternative crowd wearing all black, but it's just so diverse there. And it's just like the music capital. So you see live bands every restaurant that you go.
I'm so excited.
So there's a lot of opportunity there. And then just doing like a gig at some sort of restaurant that can get in the eyes of somebody,
Right.
But it's just having the opportunity to go there. And I'm excited for you to go to Nashville, bro. So
Thank you.
So what program did you first use to record music? And what was like your first song? Do you remember?
Yeah. So I remember my first song. I didn't record it ever. So my first written song was on the banjo, and it was just like about like a girl, you know. It was like one of those kind of things. And I don't think anyone else has ever heard it but me. Because it's like not very good, which is fine for a first song. That's typically how it goes. Mm-hmm. But I started fooling around on like our family had like a Mac in the
one of the
in
colored
like the family
ones?
room. Yeah, it was like the computer room. No, it was GarageBand. We had GarageBand.
Oh hell
on there.
yeah!
And so I would kind of mess around with like the loops in there and make beats. Kind of, except for I didn't know that they're like that's what I was doing, but I was kind of like making beats.
Producing.
And I realized I could like write with MIDI notes, and that was a huge eye opener. And then when I got to high school, I went to Creighton Prep, and they have you. I'm sure this is like everywhere now, but it was like wild at the time. I think it was my sophomore year. It was like everyone has to have an iPad. And the iPad that I got had GarageBand on it, and I was like, I know this.
Yeah.
And so my first recordings ever were on the iPad with the Apple headphones taped underneath the guitar strings, that kind of stuff.
That's dope.
And they're still like they're on. Like I have a SoundCloud from high school, and like some of those recordings are still on there, which is like really cool. So there's a huge difference. I mean, obviously, but it's cool to see even just like the change in the songwriting and everything.
Yeah, the evolution. Okay, so were you gonna go to school as a music major? Because I know you did marketing.
So I did. I was a music major for a year.
Okay, so what was your perspective on what a music major would be, and what was the reality?
I was hoping that I would be able to work on songwriting a little bit more. I came in as a composition major, which it sounds a lot more hoity-toity than it. Well, you know what? There are some really, really smart kids in the composition department, but the composition professors I find are super, like flexible, and it's an awesome department to like be a part of. I was heading in a direction that I didn't want to go, where I was writing chamber music. I was writing string quartets and things like that, which was really, really cool, and I learned a whole lot, but it was just like
not fulfilling.
Yeah, it started to feel like a whole lot of work instead of a lot of fun, which is why I was doing it in the first place. Man. So I switched to marketing.
Ideal
just to
though.
Switch,
now that hindsight.
Really, really fortunate, like fluke again, just to switch over to marketing because it's helped.
Okay, so how were you promoting yourself as an artist before being a marketing major versus how you promote yourself now?
Honestly, I didn't do a whole lot of promotion, especially like freshman year. I didn't have anything out. I didn't have anything out until halfway through my sophomore year, and at that point, I was a marketing major for a whole half semester. But I had not taken any marketing classes at that point. But I have a much better understanding of digital marketing now.
Ooh, yeah.
I think that's like the main thing. And also just like understanding your audience and segmenting in that sense. I've just kind of like come to realize the process a little bit more, or actually a lot more, because that's what I studied for 3 years. But I don't know. I apply it a little bit now. I'd much rather have someone do it for me at some point, because I'd much rather just focus on the music. But that's part of the grind.
Exactly.
You know, you got to do it yourself for a while. So
before you put out a song, what are some like tips that you would give to fellow musicians? How would you roll it out?
Yeah. So to roll out just like a single, I would say you want to have like a list of things. I've never ever made like an actual list, but like because I suck, you know. But there are things that you like need to do, and I've done it so many times now that I just know what to do. Well, one, get the song finished.
Yeah.
You know, that's the huge thing. Write the song, finish writing the song, and if you want people to hear it, guess what? You're gonna have to record it.
Exactly.
And if you record it, you're gonna have to have someone. If you can't do it, have someone make it pretty for you. So like Ross Grebe,
does he mix your stuff?
Yeah, he
I love the
he
mixes.
produces and mixes my stuff. He's phenomenal.
I love Ross.
I do too. He's great. He's coming out to Nashville with me. We're moving together. Yeah,
Hasn't he been out there before?
He was out there for a summer. Yeah. So he's got connections.
Yeah.
So Ross is awesome. Okay, so now you've got a song that when you listen to it, you're proud of it. Okay.
Exactly.
Now we can release it. It's at that point, don't worry about being too much of like a perfectionist. Like, oh, I don't like this, or oh, I don't like it. A lot of time, no one's going to notice anyways.
Exactly.
So, especially if it's your first song, get it out and like get it going. When you release, give yourself time to prep. So set a release date and then start talking about it, telling friends, posting it online, have your cover made and everything, have it submitted to your distributor, which is stuff you can just Google. I'm not going to spell that out for you right now, but get all that done, and then like think about what else you can do to promote it. So an acoustic version of the song, or like a stripped down version on YouTube or on TikTok.
That's smart.
Or you can like re-release it on Spotify and have it be like a 2-song single later on. So it's like, oh, you're bringing it back up to the front again, you know? You can do that. You can make a music video. You can make a lyric video. So there's so many different like creative projects that can spawn from one song.
Exactly.
That are like I hate using the word content when describing like
a piece of
art.
Yep.
But like you can have this piece of art, this song, and then make a bunch of content around it.
Yeah.
I like to think that like music videos are still very artful. Often like lyric videos are still very artful. But if I'm doing like a cover for TikTok, that feels very like content-y, you know, much more than like I'm making art.
Exactly.
You know? But there's so many things that you should do before and after you release. So it's just like, look at what other people are doing.
Exactly.
And doing well, you know, and try to emulate that, but don't mimic it.
I like it. Do you write songs with the intention that the crowd can sing it, or do you make songs more for yourself?
So off this last album, there are definitely songs that the way we ended up structuring them and the way we ended up having them recorded and kind of arranged were meant, like the first song on the album is called Poem About You.
I love, bro.
And thank you. Thanks.
Y'all go check it out.
It's a good song. One, it's like I really, really liked it. But right off the bat, I knew like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be so much fun to perform live, because the first verse is very like, not a whole lot going on. It's just like me and the ukulele, and then it just switches up into like this massive screaming chorus. Baby, you're like everything I wanted more. It's just loud,
it's upbeat.
And it's like a total like profession of love. Like it's very embarrassing, but it's cool at the same time. And so that song is totally one that like I knew was gonna crush it live, and it did. We had an album release show.
I saw that, bro.
And I really milked that first verse too. Yeah. Like played that first verse super, super slow, and then the drummer And then we get, it was great. We rocked out. And so a lot of the songs in the album I arranged so that we could
do it live,
play it live, and have it be fun for the audience.
Exactly.
Even, especially if like they've never heard the music before.
Exactly. And it's like, that's one thing that I have about like rap music. There's a lot of songs that are made for the crowd and like the kind of energy, but there's a lot of songs that the crowd can't sing with you. And it's a lot of the times it's very complex. And that's what I like. Your music is complex, but you do it in such a way it's so like relatable that when I sing it, it's like about my life. Like your outro, Goodbye Forever, maybe, bro, when you were talking about like mortgage, having a wife, you're like, I don't even know if I want that.
Oh, that's the door. But
sorry.
No, you're all good. But no, you're absolutely right. Goodbye Forever, maybe. I've had a lot of people reach out to me about that one and say like, dude, that last verse really hits home because it's like not a bad life I'm describing.
Yeah.
It's just like it describes a lot of the good and a lot of the bad all together at the same time, and it makes it seem like, well, is it all worth it?
Yeah.
Like is that a life worth living? And I think I would say for sure if like that's your cup of tea. Like my dad, raised a family and like did all that, and and he's so happy. He's a great man.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, I look at him and how he probably sees that verse. He's like, what a happy ending. Yeah. And for me, it's like a very scary ending because it's like, well, oh, my legacy and like, blah, blah, blah. And maybe that won't be important to me like 2-3 years from now, but it is now.
Exactly. Okay. Beautiful. Describe your creative process. So do you like do writing prompts before you like write a song? Like, do you make voice notes for like when you catch a melody throughout the day and you want to kind of capture it? Describe your creative process.
You pretty much just did. For like for like 90% of the songs that I write, they'll come from a melody popping into my head during the day, which I used to think happened to everybody, and it doesn't.
No.
I used to think everybody was just like humming their own melodies all day, and that's not the case. So that's a big one. And so I have tons of voice memos that's just like na 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 na, na, where I just like heard something or, and then I also have a ton of notes. I've probably got like 700 plus notes on my phone that are just like
lyrics,
or like something I heard in conversation, like a phrase that really like caught my attention. And then when I sit down to write, I go back to those things and build. Exactly. And that goes whether I'm like writing solo or writing with people. It's always like going back to these like little scraps and seeing if something comes of that. And sometimes it does, and sometimes it does super, super well, and sometimes it does, and sometimes it's like, this song sucks. Yeah. And sometimes nothing happens, It's just, at the end of the day, you just got to do it. Exactly. That's the big thing.
Just make it happen. Okay, can you pinpoint a song that you thought wasn't the best, but ended up people liking it, and you were like, wait, what?
I think like all the songs that have been super well received have been ones that I like really, really enjoyed making.
Yeah.
And I've definitely had songs that underperformed.
Yeah.
Where I was like, dang, I thought this song was like totally gonna take off, or just like really grab the audience by the balls or whatever. And like it just like that just like didn't happen. But that's also like okay.
Exactly.
I wouldn't even consider it a failure because it's just making music. I make music that I like, and so I listen to my music all the time.
I love it.
And just because it's what I like, and sometimes it overlaps with like my main audience, and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
But I like that I haven't put myself in a box where I have to meet everyone's needs. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's a very good feeling to be able to make what I want because I want to make it.
Exactly. Because I was going to ask you, like, how important is it to you to make a song that's true to yourself versus making songs
that have like commercial success?
Exactly.
Yeah. I definitely in early 2019, I probably ripped out 2 or 3 songs that I kind of went in with the wrong intention. Like I went in with like a commercial intent, like, oh, people are gonna love these, and then they underperformed, and I think it was because there was just like
I've heard it before.
Some like lack of like a lack of authenticity, just kind of seemed like just a cheap remake of other songs, that kind of stuff.
It's Nice Out is definitely authentic, bro.
Thank you.
I was pulling green beans in the garden today.
That's just a fantastic.
Yeah,
start.
I was just like, there was a lot of times that I was like pulling, and I was like, wait, that was such a great line. This song is composed really well, and I'm definitely down to go to the next show. So, like, every time, like when the tempo will kind of slow down, and I'm like, yo, Noah's about to drop some jewels right now, and it's like so authentic. I'm like, yo, this is what I'm going through, So, actually, let's talk about Nashville. What were the necessary steps that you needed to have in order before committing to move to Nashville? Or are you just making the leap?
I really am making the I've never been to Nashville.
You're gonna love it.
Yeah, so I really like the main thing was just finding a place.
Yeah.
Because I'm moving out with Ross, this kid named Harrison Bowe.
Okay.
And then there's a guy out in Nashville already that Ross met during a summer out, who we'll be living with as well. So it'll be 4 dudes sharing a house.
That's
and
what you gotta do, man.
We just like we haven't signed yet, but we like just nailed down a place this morning. So like, yeah, that's sick too. That's worth celebrating. But it's a very good feeling to like know where I'm gonna be now. Because for the longest time we've been house hunting for months.
For a hot minute.
Yeah, and it's good to finally have that. But really, I think like the main thing was just having numbers I could flex. Like once I get out there, like I've got proof that I can do what I'm gonna say that I'm gonna do. Not that the numbers are the most important thing, but having
stats
some
are real. Like if you wanted to sign like a distribution deal or publishing deal, like they're like, who are you? This is what I've done.
Yeah, this is what I've done with no team.
Yeah, exactly.
No team. Which is sweet. Like I'd love to get like a manager when I'm out there. I'd love to start like building a team outside of just like myself and Ross. But for right now, I'm probably just gonna keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, bro.
And start I want to start writing in a lot of different groups and for other people. I'll write country, I'll write rap, I'll write whatever. So I don't know.
All right, we'll be right back.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. This is the plug section. Listen to my album. It's called It's Nice Out. It was just released a week and a half ago. I don't know when this will be released, but as of right now, it was released a week and a half ago. It's a really, really sweet piece of work. 10 songs. You can get through it in like half an hour.
Minutes.
Yeah, 34 minutes. There you go. It's very listenable. And I think it's some of my best work. So check it out and keep an eye out for music videos. We've got a music video for It's Nice Out. We got a music video for Stellar Parallax. We got a music video for Goodbye Forever Maybe on the way, which are very, very cool. And then just follow me on my socials. Noah Floersch, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, whatever. Thanks.
I hope y'all go and follow this guy on all streaming platforms. Do you use DistroKid?
Yeah. Yeah,
DistroKid.
I used to use TuneCore.
TuneCore,
and I switched over to DistroKid in August of 2020. There's a lot of changes going on in August of 2020.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
2020. What idiom or phrase would best describe 2020 for you? If you could think of one.
I am a big fan of idioms. They're great to use in songs.
Yeah.
But man, I don't know. I suppose Up in the Air would be a very, very good one.
Yes, I like that.
Which is, I've released a song called Up in the Air using like the idiom writing thing. But yeah, it was a tough year. Nobody had any idea what was going on at all, but everyone sure seemed like they knew what was going on. I hate that. I feel like so often like people just have to like talk and say what's on their mind. And it's like so often we're like, hey, I don't know what's going on. Like it's okay to not know. Bro. It's okay to not know. Like do your research, whatever, but like it's okay to not know sometimes.
Exactly.
I don't know anything at all. A lot of the time, you know.
Me too, bro.
But no, it was an insane year. So much happened. So much happened. And, gosh, I don't know. I think, like, comparatively, I think I had, like, a very, very okay year compared to, like, people that lost family.
Exactly.
I don't know. There's just, like, a lot of things that I have to be grateful for this year. And, like, I think not only myself, I was talking to a buddy about this last night at Brothers, but we were talking about 2020 and kind of, like, the mass perspective shift that it has given the world.
Oh yeah.
And I think that we can walk away as, like, a species, like, much better, but it's gonna come down to us using that perspective to, like, make changes that need to happen.
Okay, so before the break, we were kind of talking about Nashville, your fans, but let's. How would you describe a Noah Floersch fan?
Man, I got a lot.
You got 18 or what? 18. That's like the target.
Oh, you're talking, yeah.
But like, how would you like?
I could show.
describe
I
them?
could. Oh, we don't want to do the demographic thing because I could.
Man, you can.
I could really quick. Do you want me to pull out the stats? I've got an app right here.
Bro. Pull it
so
out.
you know how there's like a Spotify.
Like the insights and stuff?
Yeah, there's like a Spotify for artists.
Yeah.
Bingo. I'm pulling that up right now, and I'm going to the audience section. So gender, 55% female, 41% male. So like if and 3% non-binary, 1% non-specified. 39% of my listeners are 18 to 22. So that's my biggest.
Yeah.
That's my biggest chunk. 10% are under 18. 28% are 23 to 27, and then it just trickles off from there. And then, like, countries, U.S., Canada, UK, Australia, Germany are like the top 5, and then cities. I find this interesting. Like, Lincoln and Omaha are not even in my top 10. Yeah.
Damn.
But like Chicago is huge, Dallas is huge, Atlanta, LA, and New York. And I think a lot of that is just due to like
the playlist.
There's just so many people in all of those cities. Yeah. I think it really boils down to just like massive populations in those areas. Damn. But yeah, just interesting. But from what I've seen on like social media and stuff, people are very, very nice to me.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I have in my Spotify bio, I say, DM me and say hi. Like I have that in there, and people will all the time and just say like, hey, love this song, like blah blah blah, and I respond to everything, because it's like sweet. It's very sweet. I can't imagine like getting a message like that and being like, all right, I gotta like eat my cereal or something, But everyone's been very, very sweet and very supportive. I find that my listeners like often like are super engaged and supportive on like posts, and they'll be like, oh, I love this song for this reason, or it's sweet. And then they also tell a lot of stories. So like in those DMs, they'll be like, this song reminded me of my grandma for this reason. And I'm like, thanks. It wasn't written for your grandma, but like, it's cool to see that music connects or helps you with this thing, It's cool.
Your life. I like that.
It's cool.
So what is one message that you would give to your fans right now?
Just thanks so much. Like really, we already did the plug thing. So really it's just thanks for sticking around. Like, more good stuff on the way, I suppose. That's the plan, at least.
So before a show, do you have a strategy on how you're going to engage and interact with the crowd?
I've only done like one live full band show as Noah Floersch. Like I've played with full bands before, not like as a part of the band. Yeah. I've played solo stuff as myself, just like in coffee shops and things like that. But the first show, the album release show with like a full band and everything, there's like the rehearsal stuff, but it's also finding an order for the songs.
Exactly.
And so because it was an album release show, we kind of went down the album, right? But we sprinkled On Your Mind and Girl from the Sidewalk and like the more popular songs to break up kind of like a bunch of songs that the audience didn't know because they've never heard them before. Yeah. So that was a big thing. Programming a show to have really high intensity moments and low intensity moments is really, really important to just I mean, a rule. I don't know if this is one that is like an industry standard or whatever, but I heard this rule one time that's like every 30 seconds you have to have a change of pace. You have to have something going on during a show. So that's something I really like to keep in mind, just to keep people locked in, to make sure people have a good time and enjoy the show. And so that's something I really, really thought long and hard about for this album release show, because it was like my debut full band show, you know? So that's a huge thing. But I am someone who, like, the day before or like the day of a show, I have really, really bad performance anxiety. But it's just the stuff leading right up to it. Once I'm like a song or two in, the willies are gone. Yeah. I've like engaged with the crowd a little bit, and it's not a problem.
I'm like, dang, I want this to last a little longer.
Yeah. It was a quick like it felt quick, you know. Yes. It wasn't quick, but it felt very quick.
Noah, I think this is important to distinguish. Okay. The question, first off, who is your favorite live band / musician versus favorite studio band musician? Because like there's a couple artists that I was super excited to see, and they're not performers. So like, give us like your favorite live band or musician that you like to.
So, I've seen some really incredible shows. I think some of my favorite live show stuff, the Avett Brothers, they're like a folk band.
Oh, I love folk, man.
And they just put on like a hell of a show, and they've got like really great instrumentalists touring with them. And so they just, I just love their music. So it's really easy to just like get locked into the songs. But two, they just have like a really good time on stage. Yep. I saw Coldplay once.
What?
Holy
I want
crap.
to see Coldplay.
It was insane. They were on tour. I don't even remember for what. But it was like right before everyone left for college. So it was like already a very emotional thing. And everyone, when they handed out like your or when you were doing your ticket thing, right, to get in, everyone got like a wristband that like had some wires running through it. And we were like, this is kind of weird and interesting. And then like during certain songs, like the wristbands would like sync up. And so you would, because we were on like the nosebleeds, but you could see like the whole arena light up. Like when they played the song Yellow, everything was yellow. It was incredible. I mean, they can put so much money into just like that kind of stuff to make a show really incredible. So that was cool, but it was also, I mean, Chris Martin's just like a great performer. I don't know. I've been like on a weird Coldplay binge. I do it like probably once every like 6 years, and I'm like in the middle of one right now, which is probably why I'm talking about him so much. But it was a hell of a show. It was really, really cool.
What about studio? Who's your favorite studio? Like, oh, the mixing's good.
Billy's first album was really, really like eye-opening for me.
I have to check her out.
Give her a shot. Yeah, she just had another album come out today, and I listened to that earlier. And it was still really, really good. I think there were only like 2 or 3 songs that like really like were gripping to me. Yeah. But I also don't think like a lot of those songs were for me. There's just like a lot of like I don't know. There's a lot of like very like female oriented perspective in a lot of her songs that I just like I can't get with, just because it's just like a perspective I don't really understand.
I understand.
But there are some songs on there that are great. So she's really, really cool. And her and her brother Phineas do just like really, really interesting things. Yes. So I like that. John Bellion, he's incredible. Is he not nuts?
I love John Bellion.
He was a great live show too.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Did you see him?
I saved a ticket at Pinewood.
Yeah. I had to go. What a show. And Lawrence, the opener too, was a great band.
I follow their music to this day after seeing them live before. I was like,
I didn't know who they were, and then it turns out while they were playing one of their songs, I was like, oh, I have this song saved in my library. I just like, this is the only one I know of you, and now I know. Yeah, now I follow them.
Exactly.
So they're great too. And then like I listen to a lot of folk.
Yep.
And Gregory Alan Isakov is so, I know it's a ridiculous name, but he's incredible. He's this folk artist that he just writes really, really beautiful music and stuff that you almost always want to be listening to alone. Like it's, you can like, if you're going to like show it to someone, it's like, hey, lay down on like the floor with me and close your eyes
and really listen.
And it's rare that you have that kind of artist. And I have never gotten old of, or like tired of his stuff. It's just incredible. So he's probably my number one. He's incredible. Give him a shot.
Okay. So since we were talking about John Billion, there was one song that reminded me, Alone with My Thoughts, on how it started. I was like, yo, this kind of reminds me of John Billion. Because like John Billion is a great songwriter, not just for himself, but for other people. So who is another underrated songwriter that you like?
Yeah, but before I say that, I do want to say I can't take a whole lot of credit for the way that Alone with My Thoughts sounds. I did write it, and like the melody's all mine, and like the lyrics are all mine. But the production and the mixing, that wasn't Ross. That was this kid named Matt Nouns, and he did it in high school. Isn't that nuts? Yeah, the kid's ridiculous. Yeah, I've got one other song with him too that did not do nearly as well, but Alone with My Thoughts is a very, very cool song. So shout out Matt Nouns. But favorite songwriter, Gregory Alan Isakov is a huge one. Billy Joel. Oh my God.
A lot of the old folks talk to me. They're like, you have to listen to Billy Joel.
It's so good. Take a deep dive. Very, very worth the time. I really like Queen.
Oh yeah,
you've heard of them.
I was like, wait,
their music's really, really great. Beatles, Beach Boys,
of course,
and then Fleetwood Mac.
Yes,
you get me charged up. I grew up on Fleetwood Mac, so like I go back to that Rumors album all the time. So that songwriting is all really, really, really good. I think it's becoming more and more difficult to come across good songwriting in like the pop world.
True.
And that's not like throwing shade at pop, because a lot of pop now is like just you're meant to have a good time listening to it, which is fine. Like I got no qualms with that. I love writing songs that do just that. But you lose a lot of like a narrative and description when you make that shift. That's all.
That's very true. Okay. How old are you?
I'm 22.
How has being a musician affect your personal life and your social life?
There's a lot of aspects to the job and the career that it's especially just like being from Nebraska, you can't really relate to a lot of other people in that regard. So it's nice to have other musicians and other singer-songwriters to kind of like talk about how we think, because there's definitely like a way that like songwriters think. And it's nice to sit down with those people. But it does make hanging out with non-musicians and like talking about my day-to-day. Like, sometimes I feel like kind of like a bum, because it's like they'll come back from their 9 to 5 and I'm like, oh, I sat at home all day and wrote my silly little songs. Like that's what I did. Which is ridiculous. Or like earlier I was like, I've got this interview in like an hour. And my buddy was like, oh, you like interviewing for a job? And I was like, no, I'm hopping on the pod. Like, so which I just think I think that's kind of funny. But those kind of things, they're little idiosyncrasies that just kind of like I think make people like very wary of that kind of career, because it's like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like it shouldn't work, but it's working right now. So fingers crossed it continues to do so.
Noah, what does success mean to you?
Obviously, there's like when you're in a career like this, there's a massive worry about financials.
Oh yeah. Studio time. So who's gonna mix it?
Right.
Buying the track.
Right.
Yeah.
So for me, financial success means just I don't need to be like super rich. I don't need to be super famous at all. There was a time maybe when I wanted that. I'm pretty much over that now. Now it's just like, man, I'd really love to like provide for like a family.
Yes.
And like still be able to do the music thing. That's kind of like where I'm at right now. If that works, great. If it doesn't,
you're still doing music.
We move, you know? But that's that financial success, that's how I would define it. But then when it comes to like artistic success, I feel like I've already been successful. I'm very competitive. I've mentioned this before, and I'm competitive with myself. So I always want to do more, and like I want a song that will beat On Your Mind. You know, like I want to have another song that does well on another song. But when I get people that DM me about their grandmas, that's success, because it's like, oh, the music is doing its job.
Exactly.
Like that, you know, so that's success in and of itself. Little wins.
Now, what motivates you?
Little wins. Big wins. Wins.
We want dubs, all of them.
I think I definitely now have, especially the whole moving to Nashville thing, has like kind of lit a. Am I allowed to cuss? What's the
Yeah, bro, go ahead.
Lit a fire under my ass.
Yeah.
About like I don't know. I've got like something to prove now.
Exactly.
You know,
like a chip on your shoulder.
For the last 2.5 years, 3 years that I've been doing the music thing, I've also been a full-time student. Now I've got no excuses. Now it's like, okay, time to go. So that's a huge motivational factor. Like, it's kind of like there are eyes on you, not necessarily very like scrutinizing eyes, but like people are like, don't forget me when you're famous. Like I hear that all the time, and it's like I don't know
one
if
of
I
your
want
first lines
in Bigger Plans. Yeah, people say to me, "Don't forget me when you're famous." And then, it's a very, I'm a little stinker in that song.
I like that.
But like I hear that all the time, and it's like, man, yeah, like we'll see. Like, what do you want me to say? Like, but it's cool to know that people are supportive and watching and stuff too. So that's other folks, especially like the hometown folks. That's a huge motivator.
It is, man.
Yeah, I think those are my big ones.
Okay, so who are the 3 people who have been the most influential in your growth?
Musically or as like a person?
Anything. Growing as a person.
I would say musically, and in a big way as a person. Ross Grebe has
Shout out Ross.
He's been just incredible.
Yes.
Just incredible.
He's always helping, man.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. He's been my mentor for a super long time. He's been my producer. He's my guitarist. And he's also just like a really great friend.
He's a good person.
He's a sweet guy. So he's huge. I'm gonna lump my parents into one, which is
I was gonna say just
they what a dream team. They're awesome, and they've been surprisingly supportive. My dad is this businessman, entrepreneur who like founded his own business and is like kicking it. Like he's doing just great work. And he's always kind of like had dreams of having it be a family business, but like my oldest brother is like
doing
a monk, and I've got 2 brothers between us, and like one is doing like blueprint stuff. The other one just like got back from the army and is going to school for like construction management. So it's like, oh my gosh, who's going to carry on my dad's lineage? And then I come along and I'm like, I want to do music. and he's just been incredible. He's been super supportive, even though he had kind of like this idea for the legacy of his business and whatever. And I see that, and it's just like, what a man, what an incredible man. And my mom's great too. She's also I will always send her like earlier versions of the songs and stuff like that. There's one line in my song On Your Mind where it's like, and you fight like my parents about who and what and when, which is in reference to like the way I wrote the song was like, it's very much like a bickering kind of like little thing, but the song, it's like, and when you get back to being fine, I'm your guy. It's very much like a loving song. It's just like, oh, we're in like a little stupid little fight right now. And she was like, I don't really like that line. Your father and I don't really fight that much. And I'm like, Mom, like it rhymes with Paris. Like relax, you know. But they've been incredible. And then I'd say my girlfriend Anna Nolte.
Shout out to you.
Yeah, she's great. we've been going strong. We're like a year and a half in now. It's just great, and she's sticking around in Omaha, so we're gonna like do the long distance thing, which is tough. But she's been super supportive, and like I've kind of put her in a tough situation, you know.
Very tough.
And so I'm very grateful that she's sticking with it. Yeah.
She believes in you, bro. Okay. What are 3 things that we should know about you that we didn't touch on?
These are things that may not necessarily be important to like who I am as an artist, but like they're a big part of who I am as a person. I play soccer. That's like that's soccer. A huge thing. I know we like briefly touched on that, but like I've been playing since I've been walking, you know, and so that's a huge thing. That is just like a massive part of my life. Man, what else? I kind of like not super multifaceted. I've got like 3-4 facets tops. Yeah. It's like music, soccer, like try to be a nice guy all the time, and like that's about it. I don't know. Please say hi to me if you like know me.
Yeah.
You like I there's sometimes like I was at the bars last night, and like I will like see people like kind of be like, is that the music guy, or is that you? And this does not happen often, but like it's happened like 3 times in like the last year. And it's like, hey, don't come. Yes, I am. Come talk to me. Like, I'm like the music guy.
Don't make it weird.
Yeah, come like be a friend. I'm not anything beyond like anything, you know.
Yeah.
And then, man, I don't know. 3 things is so many things to be interesting about. I want to have a garden. I've never gardened before, and I really want to when I get out to Nashville. Like, try to do that. Yeah, you were talking about. You have one. Oh my gosh.
Very time consuming, but very worth it. There's I'm just gonna put this in the ground, water it, trim it whenever it needs to. But it's like, yo, these bugs are coming. You got to worry about it going up and not going into other plants to take sunlight. You got to compost, bro. It's a lot, but it's worth it because it's like, this is like what our ancestors used to do.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, wow, I grew this? Whoa.
Imagine like being one of the first people to start like doing the agriculture thing. Yeah, just being like, guys, check this out. I can put this in the ground and then eat it later. Yeah. It's pretty sweet.
All right. How much time do we have right now? All right. Let's stop it really quick. We're gonna do rapid fire. Go ahead. Are we good? Fucking did the same time. All right, we're gonna do rapid fire questions.
Very good.
What song makes you cry or teary eyed?
It's a song called "Here Comes the River" by Patrick Watson. It's this song where it's like a slow build the whole time. And especially like if you listen with headphones like this or like a really big speaker set, it starts off so quiet. Like it's just his voice and this piano, and it swells eventually into this massive like orchestral just behemoth, and it comes like waves and waves. Yeah. And the song is called "Here Comes the River," and it kind of like describing this flood, and it's incredible. And I have to like take tolerance breaks from it almost because I don't want to like grow numb from the song. Exactly. So I've limited myself to like 3 or 4 listens a year when I like need a good cry.
Damn.
You know?
Stairway to Heaven is my cry. Because it also builds up, and I'm just like, release.
Yeah.
Release the flood.
Absolutely. That's a great one.
All right. Since you're moving, if you could say one thing from your house and it was burning, what would it be?
There's no one in there.
No one.
Okay.
No pet, no nothing.
I'd probably take my laptop. It's got so much like
intellectual
of my
property.
Yeah, so mad amounts of intellectual property on that thing.
Okay, if you could have written one song, what would it be?
Piano Man.
Bro.
Wow. What a tune.
Okay. Your latest purchase that you weren't happy about or it wasn't smart, now that you look back. Just like, damn.
I'm pretty like, I wouldn't say stingy, but I just like I never go shopping. It's just like not something I do super often, but I like go out to eat all the time.
Yeah.
So like I like was at Daylay's at 4 this morning.
Daily home?
Yeah.
You're waiting there in the line for a while.
And it's like, what am I doing here? That's so
I'm
like
stuck here already.
I irresponsibly eat. Other than that, I'm pretty good with my finances, you know.
Actually, I was going to ask you to describe yourself in 3 words, but we're not going to do that.
Okay. Thank God.
What fictional character would you like to be?
Percy Jackson. I feel like,
bro, those are
yeah, great books.
Yes.
I think they're doing like a Netflix series, so I'm excited for that.
That's gonna be
but that was, I just remember being very gripped by those stories. I was definitely more of like a Harry Potter guy, but like I think I wouldn't want to be Harry Potter.
No,
he had a real tough go of it.
Had a rough
like,
life.
All the
Gotta
time.
fight demons.
But Percy
snakes.
Jackson, like, he gets his sword. His dad's a god. It's like he's doing cool stuff all the time.
Okay, what does a person need to be happy? What do they need?
Am I only allowed to say one thing, or is it?
No,
I think this is gonna sound so generic, but like, oftentimes a sense of purpose I think can go a long ways, or on the complete opposite side, like a sense of like freedom.
Yes.
Sometimes from purpose, sometimes just in general.
Just to be.
And I often find myself bouncing between the two,
Same.
but in like a very healthy way, or I try to at least in a very healthy way. So that's a big one, but also just like having your people. I'm sure there's a lot of people in the world that are happy and don't have like a ton of friends or whatever, and you don't really need a ton of friends. You got like 2 or 3 good ones. You're good to go. But just having some people, I think, is a good thing. Yeah. Other than that, that's about it.
Thank you for that. So what song could you sing on stage with your favorite band or musician that you know word for word and probably would do better than them? Man, I would probably say Brandy by The Looking Glass. Brandy, you're a fine girl. Hey.
What a good one. I don't know.
Boy, I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like the last movie I've seen with it in. But that's like my go-to karaoke song. Yeah.
If you could be a musician for one concert, who would it be?
You know, I really think I'd like to be like Cardi.
Yeah.
Just like, because the energy of his crowds are just like ridiculous. I think, I don't know if it's like Lala's going on right now, or I think I think he played up there. I don't know. But I was just like seeing videos from like TikTok, and it's like, oh my God, like, this looks so sick.
He's an energy rapper. He's not really worried about the lyrics. Y'all ready to have fun? Like,
right. That would be just like a blast.
Yeah.
Because it's also like, damn, I don't have to remember the lyrics because I'm singing over them the entire time. Exactly. And that's something like when I go up on stage, that's typically like my number one worry is like, I'm not going to remember the lyrics.
Yeah.
It like has not happened at like on like a grand scale ever, but if it does, like, oh,
especially if you've been drinking, just like wait,
it's tough. But I think being like a rapper with like a real rowdy audience and just some like very like highly energized tracks, like can't go wrong.
Okay, Nelson, who would, if you could be a musician for a concert, who would it be?
Post Malone.
Hell yeah.
That makes a whole lot of sense.
What about you, Jack? Ooh.
Yo.
I haven't seen a live performance.
Have you listened to his new album? Worth it. He's got a song with Post.
Oh,
it's sick.
I've seen them.
It's not the one with. There's one with Post and I think Travis Scott.
Damn.
but he's got another one with Just Post, and it's called It's a Raid, and it's like this. It starts out real like, it's like real dirty and grimy, and then everything cuts out, and it's like for the first verse, I think it's Ozzy, and it's just like. And it's like one of those, and it's so sick. So it's like Ozzy does one, and Post does like a verse, and then the song kind of like descends into like chaos and police sirens and stuff. But it's really, really like the first half is great.
Yes.
So highly recommend.
I love Post Malone's versatility. Oh my,
versatility.
Oh my god. But he does
song,
so much.
His Motley Crue, dude. And I was talking about this with some guys earlier. It was like he's never kind of like done that kind of rap.
No,
before.
he
I don't know if
hasn't.
there's like a name for it, but it's like really short syllabic, like you know.
Cheers.
Yeah. And like kind of like mispronouncing for the sake of like the vibe or the feel. Like I know he doesn't say mysterious, like mysterious, but it's set. It sounds
Fast
set.
and Furious.
Yeah.
Like it was so dope. Like the music video. That's what I
Music
love
video
Posty.
sick.
But if I was to be a musician for one concert, it'd be Travis Scott.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I've seen him live, and I'm like, let me get up there when he plays Butterfly Effect or obviously Goosebumps or Mamacita. I'm just like, what I always look back at the YouTube videos where he's in overseas. It's like, I don't know where it is, but he's on top of this like railing, and there's like thousands and thousands of people, and you see multiple mosh pits, and I'm like, oh my god, I see why he's like.
Yeah, you gotta like when you got that kind of crowd,
Yeah.
like so many people that are like, you are really good at what you do.
Yes.
Then it's like makes a whole lot of sense to be like, oh, you're really good at what I do. Like I totally get like the like rage and like that kind of feeling.
And it's like, bro, no, like his song called "No Bystanders," right? It's just like, bro, we're here to rage.
Yeah.
Like the song "No Bystanders," the party never ends, and it's like in the chorus, it's like. Fuck the club up, bitch.
There was so for the show I just played, like the album release show.
Yeah.
We had an encore song selected, like my band and I.
Yeah.
And it's "Killing in the Name of" by Rage Against the Machine. Yeah, which is so like for the so out of left field. Yeah, just like ridiculous but like it just like came up during rehearsal one time. We were like, what's gonna be our encore song and blah blah blah. And like Ross and Dom kind of like jokingly started playing it. And then we just like ran through the song and we were like, wait, that was so cool. And so like we get out there and we play the show and it's great. And we end with "Goodbye Forever Maybe," so this very like somber like whatever, and then people were like encore, and we were like, okay, so we did like prepare one song. This one really means a lot to us. Like we kind of set it up as and then we get into it and it's real, you know, it's whatever. And by the end of it, like, you know, it's like, yeah, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. And I like was just screaming at the crowd and they were screaming at me, and it was great. And it was like, this is sick. So that kind of like, I need some of those. Like you need to program that into your live show because it just like it gets the crowd going. It's very, very cool.
Well, Noah, do you have? Well, you already promoted something.
I plugged.
We already did that. So, give the listeners a piece of advice. Just it could be anything.
Okay, if you are creative, create, yes. But execute. If you want to do this thing as a career or as a side hustle, you need to get it done. I know too many people that are really, really good at the creating thing, and they're not so good at the finishing thing. And it's not a talent-based thing. It's just a mentality thing.
Yes.
So get it done. And then if you're a non-creative, just execute. You know, you don't got to worry about the creative thing. Just execute. Get done what you need to get done. Ask that girl out. You know,
do it. Right.
You know, ask the mentor for for a job interview. You know,
Exactly.
do the thing that you want to like take you to the next level. If you're climbing, if you're relaxing, do that too. You know, take time to do that. Those are my 3 pieces.
Man, well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. So I would like to thank everyone for listening to Blazin' Trail Podcast. Remember to leave a review, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment on what you learned about our new friend Noah, and other thoughts and concerns. Make sure to follow us at Blazin' Trail Podcast on Instagram. Shout out to KZUM and Turbine Flats. Remember, do not compare your journey to somebody else's. As you could see, we're all walking different paths. So don't be hard on yourselves, because the world already is. Remember, to make a change, always start with yourself, because you are the one. So make it happen.
What a monologue at the end there.
Yes, sir. Great.